Destiny 2 died a little over a month ago. Sony laid off the entire team behind Destiny 2 just a few weeks after that, and we know there is no Destiny 3 on the horizon. It's a bleak time to be a Destiny fan right now, or just a gamer in general for that matter. But what if I told you I had a pitch for how Sony and Bungie could make Destiny 3 in this current climate despite everything that's transpired over the last few weeks? Because I've been noodling on something that I think might work. The only problem is, I really don't think you're going to like it. So we're going to get into a few different things in this video, and by the end, I'm hopeful you'll understand both the challenges Bungie and Sony face in making a Destiny 3 right now, and why my not particularly ideal pitch could solve some of those issues. But before we get into it, I have a few caveats. First, I am not a game developer. I'm sure I'll find a way to work that into most of the videos I put out here, but despite working in the industry as a journalist for many years, my knowledge of the development process pales in comparison to the folks that do it every day. I know enough to be dangerous, and that's it. So understand that the math here is napkin math, and we're talking rough estimates almost all the time. If you are a game dev and want to tell me how wrong I am or enlighten me in the future, please get in touch via Twitter DMs or my work email, which is ryan@rogue.site. I'd love to have an off-the-record chat about what I can do better here. Second, this may be my pitch for Destiny 3, but that doesn't mean I like it. In fact, I would much rather just get a normal Destiny game delivered to my doorstep with 4 new planets, a raid, and a big campaign. The point of this video isn't to tell you what I want, it's to say what I think is possible, so please keep that in mind before you yell at me. Finally, it's important to remember that no version of Destiny 3 will ever truly feel like D2 did, because Sony scattered that team to the wind. Even as we imagine the future, I'd really encourage you to keep those folks in your mind, and thank them for the memories if you see them pop up on your Twitter feed. Okay, before we can really get into what Destiny 3 would need to be to find success, we need to talk a little bit about why they can't just do what they've done before. See, games have gotten more and more expensive to make over the years, and while Destiny and Destiny 2 originated under this massive Activision contract, which was built when Bungie was coming off of Halo, a franchise that was impossibly hot post-Halo Reach, which I know sounds weird to the kids today, Bungie now finds themselves at the mercy of their owner, Sony, who has recently lost quite a bit of money on live service titles in a market that is not particularly friendly toward innovation. Despite what all of us in the Destiny community think, Destiny 3 is a risk for Sony. Now, that's not because they think the game wouldn't do as well as some of the peaks of Destiny 2, or that nobody would come back. It's because Destiny 3 would have to perform significantly better than D2 ever did to make financial sense in the current market, as it'll bump into the 2 major issues plaguing AAA development right now. It'll cost too much money and take too long to make. Except just kidding, those 2 issues are actually just one issue. Games take too long to make now. Jason Schreier has a great series of videos on these topics on his YouTube channel, and I'd really recommend you go and check them out, but I'll recap the important stuff for us here and now. It boils down to this: the longer a game takes to make, the more it costs. See, people, the developers who make the art you enjoy, are the main cost for managing a studio, and you need more people than ever to make a game. That starts with the increased graphical fidelity of games. A cutscene made 20 years ago needed a fraction of the people you need to make it now. But it also includes the manager bloat that comes from having a bigger team. If you've ever worked on a group project, either at work or school, you know that more people can do more work when they're all set to a task. But getting there and operating on the same page can be very difficult. More people means more managers, and that can have its own impact on productivity, both good and bad. But most will tell you the influx of MBAs in the gaming industry hasn't always been super helpful. Things like experimentation and ingenuity cost dev time, and a lack of team cohesion caused by, having to hire an entirely new team because you gutted the original to temporarily reduce your headcount, can delay things even further. Every issue or wrong direction can cost months and years of development time, which makes the industry extremely unpredictable. And when markets are down, like they are right now, unpredictable isn't just bad, it's a full-on red light for shareholders. Earlier this year, I was thinking a Destiny 3 would cost at least $500 million, which is extremely expensive. If that sounds nuts to you, Jason Schreier has given a similar number, and it's not particularly hard to get there if we do the math. If Destiny 3 takes 600 developers, all of whom make an average of $150,000 a year, 5 years to make, suddenly you're at $450,000 already. And while I know the project wouldn't have that many devs to start, my estimates were semi-conservative, as salaries will continue to rise in places where game studios are, like San Francisco, LA, Austin, and Seattle. And even that 5 years estimate is a little faster than I think we'd actually see a new Destiny game. The point is, it's pretty easy to see how fast a game racks up costs if it takes more than just a few years to develop and requires a big team, which a game like Destiny 3 will. So we basically need to figure out how to get Sony their investment money back faster by making the game quicker and with fewer people. Well, there are a few things we could do to make that happen. If you're a Destiny fan, I hope you're prepared to hear a lot of things that you're not going to like all in a row, because that's unfortunately the reality that we're currently living in. So we're going to solve this thing with 3 different methods: labor, a unique release schedule, and a new pricing method. I'll paint a more vivid picture of how that might actually look at the end of the video. So, labor is obviously a major issue here, and one option that, as a union guy myself, I don't really care for, but is absolutely an option Sony and Bungie could use, is outsourcing. So the idea here is that Bungie would lead development on Destiny 3, but instead of hiring up to do all the work internally, they'd hire a smaller internal team and then use support studios to help them. If you're familiar with the conversations that happened during Destiny 2's first year, you'll likely remember that Bungie had help from High Moon Studios and Vicarious Visions for the Forsaken expansion. And while they absolutely helped make D2 great, we're talking about something a little different here. See, development is particularly expensive in the US, so some studios are utilizing support help from places like the UK or Canada. That's because these countries will sometimes offer major tax incentives for bringing your work to their shores. This is why Hollywood has also been moving away from the US, even its favorite state of Georgia, for places like the UK. One of this year's best movies, Project Hail Mary, got a massive tax kickback from the UK government for filming at a UK studio. If Bungie and Sony used this tactic, they could theoretically save a huge amount of money on labor when they factor in the rebate. Now, if even the suggestion of this makes you a little uncomfortable, I agree. But until the US offers a similar tax incentive for keeping business here, it's just going to happen more and more, so it is a way to save a good chunk of change on development. Now for the rollout of the game, which I think could be the hardest selling point here, I want to talk to you about a little game called StarCraft 2. Now I'm 32 years old, so I was the perfect age to get into StarCraft's world and campaigns, even if I'm terrible at RTS multiplayer, in the 2010s when StarCraft 2 came out. And I remember Blizzard's unconventional rollout strategy. If you're my age, you probably already see where I'm going with this. But if you're a bit younger than me, you might be thinking, Ryan, what do you mean unconventional rollout? I don't remember, but what a great game. You'd be forgiven for that. But if you're so young that you're like, I don't even know what StarCraft is, I'm Scare09, etc. I don't know how you found this video, but does your mom know you're on YouTube past your bedtime? Anyway, the original StarCraft had 3 factions, Terran, Zerg, and Protoss, and in making StarCraft 2, Blizzard wanted to ensure each faction could have their own campaign to shine, complete with multiple missions and a full story, and those 3 campaigns would come together to be the complete story of StarCraft 2, a format Blizzard perfected in Warcraft 3. But shipping a fully fledged multiplayer RTS alongside 3 massive campaigns is pretty tough, so Blizzard decided to break it up. In 2010, Blizzard released StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty for $59.99, which included the main multiplayer mode and the Terran campaign. Then, in 2013, they released StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm. This included some new units for all of the factions in multiplayer and the Zerg campaign. It cost $39.99. Blizzard finished StarCraft 2 with Legacy of the Void in 2015, which housed more multiplayer editions and the Protoss campaign. Also $40. One game released in 3 parts over 5 years, all telling the same story. Interesting. How could we apply that to something like Destiny 3? Let's imagine a Destiny 3 that comes out with a free-to-play component on launch day and then releases what is essentially a major expansion days or even a week later. You treat that first launch plus expansion as the game's Wings of Liberty, a place to build from. So instead of getting the first 4 planets all at once, you get 1 per year. But each planet is bigger, has more content, its own raid, and a full-length campaign. 4 years after launch, Destiny 3 has 4 new raids, 4 campaigns, and a singular story arc. Then, in year 5, we start a new arc and use D3 as a platform for additional expansions and story, just like with D1 and D2. Finally here, we have to talk about cost. Everybody's favorite topic. One of the major issues of splitting the game into 4 parts is that Bungie is going to have to sell those parts individually. And with the way the economy is going, each individual piece isn't going to fly at even $40. StarCraft 2 had that issue, where players were pissed at having to spend nearly $200 just to play the entire story, and this was well over a decade ago. So how do you split the game into 4 parts and charge full price without pissing people off? A deluxe purchase model paired with a subscription model. We've already established that D3 will have a free-to-play component in this vision, right? Well, what if a $10 a month subscription gave you access to all of the paid content and all of the updates attached to it? So you don't need to buy the expansion, but you do need to pay $10 while you're enjoying it. Sublapses, that's okay, but you'll lose access to all non-free-to-play activities. Ideally, you would also keep any gear you earned while playing as a subscriber, even when your subscription lapsed. But if you're a Destiny sicko, which you probably are if you're watching this, you'd buy the deluxe edition of the game every year, which comes with that year's launch, a bunch of additional goodies, and lifetime access to that planet and its activities, regardless of subscription status. Sure, it'll cost $100, but that beats paying $120 to sub all year long. These pillars, labor, rollout, and price, come together to build a faster to develop, more modular D3 that can still fit together into a package that will ultimately be far bigger than D1 or D2 at launch, at least once all the content is out. To end here, I want to paint you a picture of what this could potentially look like, complete with a roadmap I made in Paint, because that's fun. Imagine that 4 years from now, in the fall of 2030, Bungie launches Destiny 3, a free-to-play best hits collection of Destiny activities. Hold on, I can hear you pulling away, stay with me. This base game is built by the support studios, but overseen by D3's creative leadership team. Players can dive in and enjoy some long-absent strikes like Shield Brothers or Savathun's Song. There are exotic missions to discover like a remixed Whisper of the Worm that includes pieces from the D1 and D2 missions. There's a mountain of returning weapons and armor, all 5 subclass elements, rebuilt in a system that is very similar to the Artifact and Fragment one we have today. A dungeon or two, maybe even some player-voted favorite activities like the Menagerie, and the shiny jewel, the completely free and fully upgraded Leviathan Raid. But this isn't the Leviathan Raid that launched with Destiny 2. No, to show the increased power of Destiny untethered from older generations of consoles, this is the Leviathan as it should have been. All 3 raid layers, Eater of Worlds, Spire of Stars, and Crown of Sorrow, exist in the same instance, and Callus demands that you take care of each wing before he'll grant you an audience. Once you clear out the pests, the Emperor invites you to enjoy his baths, entertain his pups, and go for a race. Then you face off against Callus in the throne room to prove that you're as worthy as he imagines you to be. As you replay the raid, you unlock the expanded underbelly via a quest chain and triumphs, which offers shortcuts to encounters and allows you to play the raid out of order while earning bonus loot. A truly massive raid to show the spectacle of the game completely for free. But in addition to all that remixed and remastered content, there's something new. One free explorable destination and a half-length intro campaign to get players started and teach them the ropes. The destination is a part of Neomuna that we've never seen before. We show up to use their tech to build a ship capable of getting us out of the Sol system. Some issues arise, of course, which we help solve, and the free-to-play campaign, which of course comes with a legendary version for veterans, sets up the first paid release of D3, the War for Torbottle. After getting our new capital ship, which serves as the social hub for all Guardians in D3, Empress Keitel contacts us, admitting she needs more allies than she originally thought in the retaking of the Cabal homeworld. She asks us to establish a beachhead, and the stage is set. Days or a week later, D3 Part 1 releases, and players are prompted to either subscribe or buy the deluxe version to gain access to the new content. As far as the paid release goes, I think most Destiny fans have an idea here. We have a campaign with both legendary and normal difficulties, a new planet to explore, multiple gear sets to acquire, a new activity, and a new raid. As for the seasons, the subscription model has no real need for them, at least not in the same way. Instead, we see an activity that starts immediately post-launch that's about scouring different zones and pushing further into new areas, giving us hints of where we'll go next. In the first major update a few months later, built with help from the support teams, we don't go to some other planet or become pirates for a few months. We continue fighting into a new zone on Torbottle, complete with a new campaign mission to introduce the area. To keep things fresh, maybe this update has an aquatic-themed reward pass because it's the Torbottle Harbor and has aquatic-themed weapons. But regardless of any theming, each major update takes us to a new place on the planet itself. Halfway through the year, we get a new dungeon for the planet, and a few months after that, we get an additional wing of the expansion's main raid. All endgame pieces to complement major content updates that also add new activities, areas, and story content for everyone. When we get the final update for the first year, we'll see the complete picture of Tora Bottle. And someone who enjoyed the original campaign and dipped after launch could come back to multiple new zones worth of activities, just like in a more traditional MMO like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV. A year after launch, the Tora Bottle content stays as it is, and we adventure into Destiny 3 Part 2, the retaking of Reese. The expansion functions the same way and has the same cost. After the initial campaign and raid, we see Reese continue to expand, and we discover more conflicts to help the Elixir with. Then it's off to the ruins of Lubrae in Part 3. By the end of the 4 years, when D3 is all out and done, we'll have 4 massive planets, each with their own activities to complete, worlds to explore, and endgame activities to conquer. The campaigns will weave a story of building new alliances, discovering new enemies, and setting the story up for years of expansions to come. This method has some flaws, and I'll miss the big explosion of Destiny content and things to discover just like everyone else. But my goal with this video and with this pitch is to find a way to manifest Destiny 3 into existence. Maybe not the perfect version, or the version I prefer, but the one that could feel real. No matter how you slice it, this version of Destiny ticks the major boxes. It's faster because the studio doesn't need to build the entire thing, and it's cheaper because of the support studios, the faster dev time, and the faster ROI due to selling the game before it's fully done. It makes me pretty sad that Destiny 3 feels so impossible right now that we have to come up with a bunch of user-unfriendly ideas just to make it all work. But that's the state of the games industry right now. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to wait for the industry to fix itself or crash to get Destiny 3. I want the next major Destiny game, and I'll put up with whatever bullshit I have to get it. Thanks for watching my first real video on this channel. I hope to do more things like this, as well as to look to what other games might help fill that Destiny gap. A like and subscription would be hugely appreciated, but I hope I'll see you next time either way.